Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel for another Alliance War video. So I'm going to start going back in time to earlier in the season and uploading some of these videos. I'm probably not going to get to all 12 of this season, and I think that's okay, especially because a lot of these wars sort of ended up looking pretty similar. Just so you know, I have the only rank 4 Spider-Man 2099. And because of that, a lot of these fights just kind of look the same. You know, he's got the anti-venom synergy, he's dexing, refreshing the wither, hitting their block, they're not gaining power, rupture bursts, you know, no mystic dispersion. They all kind of look the same. So I'm going to try to only upload the ones that are a little interesting. And this one was interesting because I really think I pushed the limits of Spider-Man 2099. There is a death in this war. There's some rank 4 defenders because we're going up against X-K9, who is a very stacked alliance. And then additionally, this is the first time in a while that I've brought Killmonger, who is a Defiance attacker, which is pretty nice. So we'll go play by play. We'll analyze my death a little bit later. But I'm starting on path 2, and Sym Supreme is somewhat popular here. The reason being the power struggle node. So he gains his first bar of power so slowly that it's very difficult for you to ever get your own first bar of power. And it's very easy for the Furies to build up. But when you use someone like Spider-Man 2099, you actually don't have to hit him and he's going to go down. So I am keeping track of my strike counters. Even if I gave him a Fury or something, it probably wouldn't be the end of the world. But I wanted to kind of challenge myself and see how few hits I could take to get this guy down. And he's closing in on the maximum of all 20 ruptures. The Wither is completely reversing his power gain. He's just ticking away. We've only hit him 5 times, and we haven't triggered any Fury so far. And he's pretty much down just off of those ruptures. So yeah, that is complete shutdown. And the node was no problem. You could obviously try to nuke it with Archangel, but if you get bad RNG with the neurotoxins, you know, it could go south. I mean, very, very unlikely that it goes south. But between the Mystic Dispersion Global and Strike Counter, you know, something could happen. So Spider-Man really countered the node. Now next up, Killmonger is maybe not the best counter here, but he certainly works. And this is a fight that I went back into the archives of DLL's channel. And he has taken this fight many times with Killmonger in previous seasons. You essentially want to only hit him, you know, with the correct combos to combat strike counter. So we're doing a lot of like either medium light or medium light, depending on where we are in the sequence. And we're just throwing our special ones, taking a couple blocked hits there to give ourselves a little bit extra power. So far, there's been no brute force. He hasn't gotten any Furies. If I had a higher Sig Killmonger, I think it's possible, if you get good luck with your bleeds, and if I was running deep wounds, it is possible to actually bypass his immortality phase. But looking at how this fight is going down, I'm pretty sure that he's going to go immortal, and we'll just have to deal with that. But the fact that we've kept the Furies intact the whole time has really, really helped us, because, you know, even if he goes immortal, even if some crazy thing happens and we get hit by a combo, he's probably not going to kill us if he has 0 Furies. So, you know, just really goes to show that when it comes to strike counter, you should never be in a huge rush. You should just play the node as it's designed and you're good to go. So right there, he does have a bar of power, which is somewhat helpful. We're just going to wait out this invulnerable phase. You never want to hit him when he gets the regen, because he gets sort of like a passive unstoppable. And now we just need to finish out this fight without, you know, causing any issues. But there we go. We know that this combo is going to kill him, so I don't mind proccing some Furies there. And that's the end of iHulk. So very clean fight. It's definitely not for people who like to nuke fights, because Killmonger is no Nick Fury or Mole Man, that is for sure. But when it comes to rhythm and just being a good counter, he is right on. So here, this is the first fight that we're kind of testing the limits of this guy. It's definitely power snack and backup recovery, which he completely shuts off. This is a rank 4 Kitty Pryde, so we're assuming that she is SIG 200. If we get any incinerates on us, it's going to really hurt. We don't have any way to battle these prowesses. I want to be dexing enough that we are refreshing our wither and our rupture so that we can do damage while we're waiting to bait stuff out. So there we go. We refresh the debuffs again. You block the special 1, and then that removes her prowess. So that's kind of the game plan here. We'll probably get to our special 2, and we just want to make sure that there's at least 1 or 2 withers when she gets to backup recovery, simply because we want to be reversing that. We don't want to accidentally send her red. So there again, as long as you block some of the special, it removes all the prowess. That's important to know. I prefer blocking the special 1. It just hurts a little bit less on the block. And the special 2, sometimes it's easy to accidentally fully outrange it. And when you fully outrange it, then she doesn't lose her prowess, because you do need to actually block a hit. It's very easy to block a couple hits. Right there, we completely reversed the backup recovery, so that phase of the fight is over, and we just need to be careful. Now, we are taking a solid amount of damage through the block on this fight, just because it's a rank 4, and we have to block those special ones. There might be a way to time your parry so that you take a little bit less damage, but I was just playing it safe. I would rather use a few potions than try to be fancy and have something bad happen. So that's node 22. Next we're gonna do node 23, and I do think that Spider-Man 2099 could do this fight, but I assigned myself Killmonger for a couple reasons. First of all, he has the True Strike, which is very easy to keep up for the entire fight. If you bait a special 1 or a special 2, the timing is very, very straightforward to get that True Strike passive up. And note that Mordo does have a new ability with his update that punishes True Strike buffs. But of course, that is more of a cosmic type ability, whereas Killmonger has a True Strike passive, so it will work completely fine and we won't have to worry about anything there. And so yeah, the way this fight's going to start is medium light into his block. Because of Mix Master, we only want to be doing medium light until we get our True Strike up. So there we go. Now we need to bait a special. We get in during the window, and because of that, the fight is well under control. I did use an invulnerable boost, but the other good thing about Killmonger here is that he basically has backup invuln off of his special 2. So no matter what, I am going to be going for my special 2s. Sometimes the special 1 is a lot nicer to use because of the sort of the rhythm of using the counterpunch charges. But I am not going to tempt fate here because of the stand your ground mastery. I'm assuming an alliance like X-K9, who is very serious about alliance war, that this guy's running 5 out of 5 stand your ground. So I would much rather have him just sit there and build prowess and build power and throw a special 3 at me than me accidentally get resisted during a heavy attack in the corner, and then he punishes me there and I lose my invuln that way. So another way to say that is I can currently take 3 special 3s with my invuln. If I mess up and I take a combo, then my entire invuln goes away, and then I really need to be on top of my special 2 invulnerability as my backup plan. I would much rather, just take a special 3, waste one of my invulns, and then also have the backup special 2s. It's just layers of safety. And that's why I'm looking at this fight as I have 5 minutes to get it down, and it shouldn't be too much of an issue. So right there, the inevitable happens. He just got a little passive on us, and like I said, I wasn't too worried about this situation, but we do take that. We use 1 indestructible. Right there, we lost our True Strike, so I did end up kind of messing that one up. Because we lost our True Strike, I threw basically back-to-back mediums. Right there, the invuln off the special 2 saved me, so my play was right, man. My play was right. The invuln plus the use of the special 2 really helped us out there. Now I'm in a little bit of trouble because I don't have my special 2 charges, And I do have True Strike, which is nice, but I don't have any way to combat a special 3 right now, so I am going to just throw my special 2 again. So now we're covered, but he's almost dead anyway. So yeah, I just think everything about Killmonger's kit counters that fight, and especially because he's Defiance tag, you'll notice that Mystic Dispersion never was an issue at all during that fight. He was good for the fight in the past, but now that he also has the tactic, I think he's probably the best counter there, and I would take that fight again, no issues, I think. So here we go. This is, again, we're kind of pushing the limits of Spider-Man here. This is a Peni Parker on Spite. Now we don't have a House of X pre-fight or anything, so we're just relying on the fact that we are never going to proc the Spite node, and that our Wither is going to help us with the node of the Rise to Power, which is when we knock her down. We're going to potentially have like a kinetic transference situation off of her block. That will actually be reversed if we have the Wither up. So he does fully counter this node, but he doesn't really counter Peni Parker at all. The only thing about him that does sort of play into the play style pretty well is that you are doing most of your damage off of ruptures. And ruptures, when you have the Wither, require you to be spamming hits into the block. And spamming hits into the block is kind of the name of the game to get her shield down. So even though we haven't gotten the shield down, we're already at a pretty solid amount of damage done. And you're going to see this rupture burst as we cross 1 bar of power is going to be pretty significant. We did lose some of our ruptures there, unfortunately. But even so, even with like, what was it, 16 or something, it did a ton of damage. Now I'm going to push her to a special 2 because I don't want her to build up too many Spider Sense charges, because then we could get the power burn debuff. So I'm just banking on blocking this thing. Don't want to be too fancy with our dexes or anything like that. And, you know, because it's a rank 4, we do need to get the shield down one more time. So that is just going to take a little bit of time, but it is a pretty safe fight. We did get power burned one time. It was just one of those situations where I meant to hit her block, but I ended up intercepting her by accident. And now she only has 7 Spider Sense charges, so we haven't seen the power burn debuff yet. Being a little stingy, I just need to get the shield down and throw one more special 2, and then the fight should be over. I think if I ran a 30% boost, then this fight would be over already, but, you know, it's more than safe. It's only been about 2 minutes, and that last special 2 is going to get her down. So it's a rank 4 versus a rank 4, pretty safe. The fact that the node is completely minimized by his kit really was the name of that game, and then we just had to, you know, you just have to know how to fight Peni Parker, and the fight will go down. Now, this next fight is not going to go well. This is Domino, and I have taken Domino on that previous node 33 with Spite before, and in my opinion, that node is actually a lot easier for Spider-Man 2099. Because on this one, you really have to deal with the aspect of evolution, you have to deal with critical failure, and, you know, on paper, it makes sense. We're trying to, you know, dex so that we can keep this Wither up. As long as we keep the Wither up, then kinetic transference is going to be completely blunted. But, you know, Domino is just Domino, and it's really hard to play this type of fight with only dexing and only hitting her block and then only taking blocked hits. Like, I think, purely speaking, that would be the best way to counter this fight. But you can see we got cornered pretty easily. She has very aggressive animations. Now, we were just unlucky when we threw that, so we actually didn't refresh our Wither. And right there, we critical failed. So now our Wither's getting kind of low, and I'm starting to panic a little bit. So, and then I make a huge mistake. I go for a heavy attack right there, dude. Very dumb, because she was lucky, so my debuffs last less time. And then right there, she just did the Domino thing where in the corner, things just got a little messed up. And then she did the other Domino thing where she held her heavy back just a little bit. I was very comfortable baiting those heavies in the corner, but she just like delayed ever so slightly. And you need to have like superhuman reflexes to catch that stuff sometimes. So you know, I don't think I would assign myself this fight again. The cleanup is going to go fine. It's actually not going to go super smooth either. But, you know, that first fight I think is rather safe. On this one, between the kinetic transference, it basically means if your wither ever falls off, then you're completely screwed. You don't have any way to counter the fight. I mean, you can sidestep and whatnot, but at a certain point, you know, the aspect of evolution is going to kind of get out of hand, and then she's going to be going lucky and you unlucky every single time she crosses a bar of power. It's just not the safest fight. It's not the safest assignment. I think I would rather send one of the like tech champ gods here. Right there, we were unlucky, so I had to block the special. So this one's going a little bit better. We're able to refresh our wither. I'm pretty close to a special 2. A parry failed right there. We throw the special 2. The wither sticks, but again, we're unlucky. She's lucky, so we just have to be really careful. This time I'm not going to make the mistake of heavy attacking off of there when she's lucky. That was very stupid. We got 2 withers, which means our blocked hits are reversing her power. So like things seem under control, but you know, Domino just sometimes like everything's fine. And then like right there, I meant to medium hit into the special 2. I did not combo into it, so it completely whiffed. That would have been the end of the fight. So now, again, I'm kind of reeling like I was before. It's just not the best matchup, and he doesn't have the most health. And, you know, if things go as bad as they possibly can, then he will get completely screwed. If you make a little mistake or there's a little input issue, then you're completely screwed. So, you know, rank 4 Peni, rank 4 Kitty, no issues. Domino still going to give us a little bit of trouble. I've taken Domino other times this season and it's gone okay, but I do think on node 43 I will be assigning a different counter in the future. I just think it's too risky for Spider-Man, but at least we learned that early in the season because I've been a little bit more careful in the future and taken her down on node 33 a couple times as well. So there's that story time. And finally, we have Mangog mini boss, but this is in a different place than normal. But I do want to kind of show that it is also a complete shutdown fight for Spider-Man 2099. Normally we see him on 54, which is the improved power gain, but this one is 53. And because it's on 53, our wither is actually already reducing his ability power rate at the beginning of this fight. So Mangog anywhere except for node 54, if you have the anti-venom synergy, you're just going to be reversing this thing right away. And rupture does count as a damage over time debuff, so it's giving us access to polka dot power. So essentially the only thing we need to worry about in this fight is keeping our wither up, not getting hit, and worrying about the stun reflection. Right there I dexed into it so that it paused my wither before it even started. And, you know, we're just doing a ton of damage through the ruptures. Right there, he went to 0 power, so we got a rupture burst. And I already had another special 2 just between the polka dot power and the power back boost and everything. Kind of a joke of a fight. So, yeah, Spider-Man 2099, pretty cool champ, right? He's really countering a lot of stuff on this map. I'm taking a lot of fights. More than I have in previous seasons, pushing the limits a little bit. Unfortunate Domino death. We did end up losing this war. X-K9 is like in the top 3 currently, and you know, they're playing pretty well, so not going to say much more about that. It was a tough loss, but did learn some things along the way that we shouldn't necessarily be scared of Kitty and Peni, but you know, Domino still is a little scary as well. So that's going to do it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.